Hello, this is Bill Webb, aka Billy Indiana. Today I'm going to count down my top 10 list of most anticipated new games coming in 2023. Some of these will be straight to retail, some will be through crowdfunding sites, but none of them have I backed or pre-ordered at this point. I'm just anticipating and looking forward to them coming out sometime in the next year. Before I begin the countdown, two quick things. Want to give a shout out to Tim Chewin. Got your sweatshirt here. It's really comfortable, and I hope we get a chance to meet at Dice Tower West or Strategicon this year. Second, I apologize for my voice. I thought I was finally getting over this flu cold stuff and started kind of going backwards this week. Found out I actually have bronchitis. So I'm on antibiotics and starting to feel a little bit better today. But yeah, my voice still isn't sounding great, so I hope you can put up with it as I count down these most anticipated games coming out in 2023. So let's get to the list. So for my number 10, I actually have two games. I just couldn't decide between them. So the first number 10, or I guess you'd call it 11, is Atlas Lost, Rise of the New Sovereigns. It says 2022 here, but from everything I've heard, it hasn't come out yet and is coming out in 2023. So it's like a bonus one here as your second number 10 by Tatsuka Chuo with art by Kazuma Koda and Yota Suzuki, published by Tactical Games. So in this situation, this game, Atlas Lost, that's the setting. It's a world that's been ruined by AI warfare. So with everything about AI having been in the news recently, it's interesting to see this as the theme of the game. Players are trying to unearth lost technology and take control of this new world. It's a civilization, tech tree, resource management game, 2 to 4 players, and the first player to score 30 points wins. You got area majority and tech tree, tech track type play. I really like the art of this game. It reminds me a little bit of some of the art by Kwanchai Moria, but different artists here in this game. I really enjoy. Also, the production is impressive. When I see these close-ups especially, with dual layer boards, and it looks like nice wooden meeples that are really well screen printed. Reminds me of Eagle Griffin games, and so that quality is really appealing to me. Even this picture right here just gives me almost on Mars vibes. So very excited, love the art, love the theme, and I assume again it must be coming out in 2023 because I haven't seen it available anywhere yet unless I've just missed it. So very much excited about this one. If somehow I have missed it and it's already out and it did release in 2022, then I apologize, but it's a 10B, right? It's your second number 10. All right, let's get to the other number 10, and it is Transhumanity, a Mind Clash game by Richard Amon and Victor Peter. This one, I haven't played a Mind Clash game, and there aren't really very many images. I think it's just got the cover, but boy, that cover is really intriguing to me. Very beautiful. All right, let's get back to the game site, the game page here. I assume it's going to be a pretty heavy game, being a Mind Clash games, but the storyline is that there's been this event called the Leap, and in the blink of an eye, our sun disappeared and our Earth was put into some sort of new solar system with a scarlet dwarf star taking our sun's place. And then it was somehow done, this whole event was done by some superior intelligence of unknown origin and for an unknown reason. So we are, as a group in this cooperative game, trying to resolve what happened and why and what's going on with this leap. And we'll be traveling through these different post-leap Earths to see different ages, what the technology is, and trying to come to the bottom of this mystery. And so there are multiple post-leap Earths. So I'm curious if it's going to have some anachrony, like almost instead of time travel, like maybe different realities, like a multiverse sort of deal. So I'm very curious to see about this. It says it's based on an award-winning science fiction novel by Brandon Hackett, has variable player powers, point-to-point move, and a modular board, and as I said, it is cooperative. Are you ready to become the next step in human evolution? Sounds really intriguing, and this is my other number 10, and one that is actually listed as 2023. All right, let's get on to the number 9. Number 9 is After Us. It says, grow the collective intelligence of your monkey tribe faster than your opponents. This one is by Florian Siriex, I think you say it, and Vincent Dutray is the artist. Tend to love his art. It's produced by Catch Up Games. And in this case, it's set in the future in 2083. Humankind has died out. It says decades ago, so I hope it's not true because we're like only 6 decades from that right now. But it says as time's gone by, we've got apes that have been evolving and growing in tribes and mastering the different human items and technology that was left behind. And we as the players are going to be leading these various ape tribes, trying to become the best tribe. There's going to be the powerful gorillas, resourceful orangutans, versatile chimpanzees, and wise mandrills. The first player to obtain 80 points in the race to collective intelligence wins the game. Got deck building as part of the mechanism and resource management, which were two of my favorites, and some really cool art here. Of course, it is Vincent Dutray, so you wouldn't expect anything less. Why is it not going? I wonder if I'm maybe having some, oh, here we go. Maybe having some internet connectivity issues. All right, so there's the board or the box. Really cool art. We see remnants of the world we know and the different monkeys. And then here's the close-up art of the cards. Looks really incredible. I don't know what all these symbols mean. I'm guessing there's something about power with these batteries and ideas with the light bulbs, perhaps. But yeah, the art is tremendous. The theme is really interesting and intriguing. So yeah, very much excited to try this. Very seldom do you see sort of a dystopian future where you're playing another type of being instead of humans. So this one just really caught my attention, and it's number 9. Number 8, Moon River. It's a King Domino-like game, but in this game, instead of having the pieces that are already two-sided dominoes, you're going to be kind of building your dominoes, it sounds like, with puzzle pieces. It's by Bruno Cathala and Johan Servais, and the art is by Regis Torres. Blue Orange Games is the publisher. And so instead of building out around your central castle, you're going to be building out from a river and expanding away from it. And instead of the crowns being the multipliers, there is still a multiplier, but you're using cow meeples and cowboys to move those multipliers around. So it sounds like it's going to be a King Domino type game, but you're building the dominoes and then you've got the ability to move the multipliers around. So I think there's going to be a bit more going on. It caught my eye because we've really loved King Domino. Don't play it as much anymore because we just have so many other games that we love, and it's quite simple. We did get King Domino Origins and felt like that was really a nice step up for us. It gave a little more depth and a little more gamerification, if you will. And we've used King Domino to teach a lot of different people about modern board gaming. And it really resonates with a lot of people at a lot of different ages. In fact, at Christmas, we had our big version of King Domino out on the table, and we're teaching some kids at the Big Brothers and Big Sisters Christmas event. So that was a lot of fun. So I'm excited to see Moon River. I assume it's still going to be on somewhat the lighter side, so it's a bit lower in my top 10, but because of our love for King Domino and the different versions of it, we've loved Dragomino and, like I said, the Origins, Queen Domino. Very excited to see this new twist and see what it has to offer. All right, let's get on to number 7. Number 7 is Tanis. Archaeologists compete to carefully extract the most valuable scraps of papyri. And the thing that caught my attention right away, Phil Walker Harding is the designer, Eagle Gryphon Games is the publisher. An interesting combination there that I'm very excited to see what they come up with. The artist is Mila Harbour. And there's not much in the way of imagery. We've got the box. We can see another vision of the box, and I think this is what the box is maybe going to hold the tiles based on the description that's on the page down here. So you have once per game abilities, you have physical removal of tiles, set collection, and sliding and pushing. The sliding and pushing made me think of Oros, which is a game I've really been enjoying lately, where you're moving the tiles around and kind of recreating the terrain of the Earth as volcanoes erupt and things like that, the tectonic plates collide. So I'm curious to see how the tile sliding movement might kind of translate into this game. It says it's a 2-player game, and so my wife and I enjoy playing games together. That's a little bit of a limiting factor, perhaps, although we do play a lot, just the two of us. And then the game begins with 40 beautiful wooden domino-sized tiles in that custom-made box I mentioned, and you're going to be taking them out in this 20 minutes or under game. So I'm really curious because Eagle Gryphon Games, when I think of them, I think of the Vital Lacerda games and the big productions. And yet Phil Walker Harding, I think of more lighter games. And we have loved many of the Phil Walker Harding games. So yeah, I'm really excited to see how this pairing is going to bring it out. And the Tanis theme, that ancient Egypt theme, also just draws me in a bit as well. So there we've got number 7. Let's move on to number 6. Number 6, Terra Pyramides. Build the Most Glorious Pyramids in Ancient Egypt. And this is a Michael Kiesling Wolfgang Kramer game with Lucas Seigmann being the artist and Korea Board Games Company Limited as the publisher. Not a lot to know about this game yet. Again, same with the art and imagery. We've got the box cover, which is really appealing to me. And then we've got this picture of what the game board looks like, I think. I'm hoping there's maybe a little bit more to it than this, but maybe it's very simple. And then we just have this other view of the box. So not a lot to see here in that regard. But being a Kramer and Kiesling game, I can expect that it's going to be good, one that I will enjoy, one that's going to be well designed. It's set 4,000 years ago, and it talks about how you're using your tiles and your workers to build out. You're laying one tile at a time, trying to connect paths. And by the basic laying of the tiles, you're going to be able to build up the pyramids. You're also going to be able to move your workers to get them to the pyramids to build them. The game comes with 2 expansions already in the game. There's in-game bonuses, layering of the tiles, and map addition. So I'm curious to see how all that plays together. It sounds like there's going to be a lot of little puzzly things to think about of where you put the tile in order to create different diagonal and straight line paths to best build the pyramids. It says the game ends after all the tiles have been exhausted. Each pyramid is worth points depending on the level that a player has occupied the pyramid. Leftover resources and money are also worth points. So this one's number 6 on the list. Don't still know too much about it, but excited for another Kiesling and Kramer game. Next up, Empire's End. This is a John D. Clare game put out by Brotherwise Games as the publisher. And this one is one that I almost backed when it was on Kickstarter recently. You can still late pledge, and every time I come back to the page, I'm tempted to do so. This is a civilization survival game. The art by Kwanchai Moria is just impressive to me. He did the art on the spill, I believe, and that art is really terrific as well. Spill's right behind me, and that's why I took a quick glance. So in this game, you have this civilization. Everyone starts initially with the same civilization sequence of tiles, but as the game goes on, there's going to be different disasters and calamities, and he calls it a reverse bidding game. So as a calamity or a disaster comes out, you're deciding, hey, do I want to bid a resource to not take this? So there could be some bluffing there. Maybe you have an innovation where you want that tile actually, but you don't want people to know you want it. So you put a resource on it, hoping maybe everyone else will do the same, and it comes back around. Then you take it, plus all the resources they added to it when you wanted it in the first place. So there's some interesting things there. I like what Alex from Might I Suggest a Game says. If you're looking for a new twist on the civ building genre and you want to prove that you can take a few hits and still be the last one standing, then might I suggest Empire's End. Alex is great. If you don't know about his channel, check it out. So pledge levels here. Retail edition is what I ended up deciding. I would just wait and get the retail edition. The different, deluxeifications look cool, but as I was watching through, I just didn't feel like they would really make the gameplay that much better. They wouldn't really impact gameplay in my impression. I could be wrong. I might regret it in the end, but I think I'm just going to wait for retail. And I'm pretty sure the retail will be cheaper later than buying it now, plus the shipping. So I like this guy's thought that Empire's Edge does a great job of implementing the theme, that pressure and conflict breed innovation, and that's balancing on opposite sides of a knife's edge. It's kind of an interesting way to think about it. The basic flow is a disaster happens, and you're deciding who's going to take it by basically reverse bidding. I'll put a resource on here because I don't want it. And it goes around until someone finally takes it, and they gather those resources. So they're gaining something, but one of their tiles is going to be on fire. It's been destroyed. But you also gain an innovation when that happens. Then you go to the economy phase, and you're going to be looking at your green cards that haven't been destroyed yet and gaining resources and then fresh innovations from those green tiles. And then you go on to the industry phase where you're looking at the gray tiles, and the gray tiles help you to build more innovations and also rebuild destroyed buildings. Then we go into the conflict phase. Whenever a conflict card gets drawn, then you're looking at the military might of the other players, and you're going to either win the spoils of war or suffer the consequences of battle defeat. I watched the Before You Play video giving a preview. I watched the Kavre video giving a preview. And then the Hunger Gamer says, Empire's End packs a ton of difficult choices, intense player interaction into a short time period. One of my top games at Origins this year, and I remain excited about it now as I was then. So there we have it, a quick overview of Empire's End. Very excited. Like I said, decided in the end to wait for the retail version, but I do really look forward to playing this one. I could see this one becoming one of my favorites. It's got a unique enough twist. I think that whole reverse bidding and trying to manage disaster, I don't know. I don't know why that appeals to me, but for some reason it does. So I'm very excited about it. And John D. Clare's a great designer, Kwanchai Moria, great art. So lots to look forward to there. And so that is, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4. That is number 5, Empire's End. All right, we get on to number 4, Skyrise. This is a game by Roxley Games, and Gavin Brown is the designer. But it's based on an older game called Metropolis, I believe. And so I'm excited to hopefully get a chance to play this. One of my friends did decide to back it out. I went back and forth and almost did, but in the end decided not to. And again, I come back to this and see pre-order and I think, oh, should I get it? Should I get it? It's really intriguing. There's a bidding aspect of it. And the theme is this woman, Anais Nin, I'm not sure how, she is trying to create this new world in the sky, and she's bringing these 4 architects that are famous for their outside-the-box thinking. And they're competing to build up the architecture on these islands. And the way you do that is having to have patience to time your plays, using deduction because there's some tiles that people have that you don't know for sure what's on the other side of those tiles. But you're also bidding and trying to take basically kind of area majority with an adjacency principle, which is really interesting. So you got the auction bidding phase and you're putting out your buildings, but you have a limited number of buildings. So you have to make sure you don't waste a lot trying to gain dominance in a certain area and then not have them when you need them somewhere else. And you also need to get your buildings adjacent to each other to maximize their value in the auction. So there's some interesting things going on there. And then there are these factions. There's the philosophers, naturalists, artists, and inventors. And you are trying to build in their neighborhoods to gain their support. And that will help you advance your prestige. Then there are these patron discs that I was mentioning, and only you are going to know what's on the other side of them, so you know the prestige you're gaining from them. And so there's a bit of bluffing. You might make them think you've got some really valuable discs when maybe you don't. So there's some deduction too. If I know I have these numbers and I know you can't have them. So there's some interesting information there too. You also have the opportunity to build some wonders out on these islands in the sky. And so that will earn you prestige as well. There are also both public and private objectives that guide the gameplay and give you something to work towards. So yeah, really interesting. I watched a couple videos. I saw Board Game Coffee's video. I can't remember some of the other videos that I watched. These are the 4 architects. Might see some as I scroll down here again and remember. So there's Fritz Lang, Vera Mukina, Antonio Santelia, Tamara Lampica. And then, oh yeah, I remember watching Alex talk about this. He calls it a very easy to learn recommended game with high depth of degree and low degree of complexity. So just looking at the components and seeing, wow, this could attract a lot of people in with that production value. Reminds me of Foundations of Rome in terms of the production value and putting buildings out. I can see people saying, hey, I want to play that game. And then if it's got that low degree of complexity so that's easy to learn, then you can actually teach it to players who maybe haven't played a lot of board games, but it's got a high degree of depth, according to Alex's opinion, as he's played the game. So that if you love more in-depth Euro-style games, maybe you would still enjoy a low complexity to teach, but a high complexity to play. So lots of fun modularity here. Game of auctioning and artistic egos. So really interesting. Can't wait to try it. Skyrise is my number 4. Number 3 is Huang, and it is a re-implementation of Tigris and Euphrates, which was already re-implemented by kind of a sister game, Yellow and Yangtze. I don't own Tigris and Euphrates, and it's really hard to find a copy without paying a lot. But I have played it and really enjoyed it. Very unique. You're moving out, spreading out over the board, and when you meet somebody, there's going to be a conflict, and you're trying to win those conflicts, but you're also trying to gain certain areas of the board to gain the advantage of that area. And then you're actually tracking yourself. There's 5 different leaders: governors, soldiers, farmers, traders, and artisans. And in the end, the winner is the player who has the highest value of their weakest of those 5 leaders. And so a really interesting style there. I do think the stark view of the box is just really interesting. But then when you start opening it up and looking at the components, it's a lot fancier than the original Tigris and Euphrates. Now, I haven't played or seen even Yellow and Yangtze in person, although I did recently had a nice coupon and picked up Yellow and Yangtze on Steam. So I'm looking forward to learning that there on Steam. and seeing how it compares to Tigris and Euphrates. And I think this is going to be maybe taking mostly from Yellow and Yangtze and maybe a few tweaks. I don't know for sure, not a lot of information on that, but you can see it's already out there where people are playing. You can see the building up and the moving out with the tiles showing where you are moving out, and then the different buildings. And the shields, so you can keep your information hidden, but also with the rules on the back of those shields. So Huang is one that, based on my experience with Tigris and Euphrates, I'm very excited to try. Some of the features, we got area majority and influence, hand management, hexagon grid, hidden victory points, highest, lowest scoring. And so very excited about this one, set in ancient China. All right, now on to my top two. Number 2, The Lord of the Rings Adventure Book Game. This one is by Jason Little and Marcus Ross, published by Ravensburger. And this one is the third in a trilogy of games that they have so far. The first one was this Princess Bride Adventure book game. And I have a video on this. I'll try to remember to link that. This is such a fun game, especially if you enjoy the movie. You're basically reliving the movie in a cooperative game, and the game is set in a book. And so in this one, the first page, the first game in the book is you're playing, drawing the blank on their names now. It's been a while since I've played it. Buttercup and Wesley, and you're at the farm, and Wesley's trying to do the chores, and so you have to accomplish these certain goals in a certain amount of time, and then you move on to the next page. I think the next page might be when you're in the boat with the shrieking eels, and you're just basically reliving the movie, but you have to accomplish certain goals to go from one level to the next. And the grandson who's listening to the story might get disinterested, and if he gets disinterested too much, you lose. And so it's interesting how they've put that together to really thematically integrate the movie, but also make a really fun cooperative game. So I'm looking at this Lord of the Rings adventure book game and remembering how much fun we've had with this Princess Bride version, thinking we're actually have a vacation coming up, and I was thinking about taking this to play through again. Lord of the Rings is my favorite IP. I love the stories. I've read all the books, some of them multiple times. I've watched all the movies multiple times. I've watched the Amazon series recently. Just can't get enough. I recently on the Dice Tower Favorite Game Friday video they were talking about IPs, and I had all my Lord of the Rings games out if you happen to see that. I just, in some ways, feel like I just can't get enough. And because I know how much we've enjoyed this adventure book game, they also had one on the Wizard of Oz. I'm really excited to try this one. So as you can see here in the book, you've got these pages where on this side, you've got the rules specifically for this chapter of this adventure book. And then you've got basically the game board here where you're playing, and you've got the challenges over here on the right side, and you have to accomplish those challenges to flip the page and go on to the next mini game. And it looks like there's some sort of tracker here, probably some type of a timer trying to get the ring to Mount Doom. So lots of really cool components, it looks like, with art from the movies. Got our different characters to move around the board. Yeah, so this one is very exciting to me. It says it's a dangerous business, Frodo, going out your door. You step onto the road, and if you don't keep your feet, there's no knowing where you might be swept off to. So yeah, just love the Lord of the Rings, and we've had such a fun time with this adventure book game of Princess Bride. Can't wait for this one, my number 2 most anticipated game, released in 2023. Hope it comes out in time to actually play it in 2023. All right, and then my number 1, The Lord of the Rings Adventure to Mount Doom. So you can tell a little bit how much I love The Lord of the Rings and the fact that my top 2 games both are this theme. This one is designed by Michael Reineck, and it's through Cosmos. And I don't know much about it because there isn't a lot on here, but I can surmise some things, and I'll let you know why here in a second. So here's the picture. It says a family cooperative game. Love the art, and as you know, I've said many times, love the IP. Here's the back of the box in the German version. And again, sometimes these Cosmos games, they come out in the year that's listed here in German, but the English version might take longer. So I'm hoping it'll actually be available to play in 2023 in the English version. But basically, here's how I feel like I have some confidence in my enjoyment of this game if I get to play it in 2023. So Michael Reineck created another game. It wasn't by Cosmos, it was by Ultra Pro. It's The Lord of the Rings Journey to Mordor. And it's a tiny little roll and write game where you're playing as hobbits and you're trying to beat the dark forces. The Nazgul are trying to race you to Mount Doom while you're trying to get the ring there. And you're rolling these dice, and the dice dictate what happens. So if you roll rings, that's good. If you roll Nazgul, that's bad. The color of the dice depends on who's going to experience certain aspects. So you could make Nazgul advance on someone else's board. So you're kind of competing against the other hobbits. You're all playing as a different hobbit, and you're kind of competing against each other. So we played this with a number of different people. Everybody has loved the game, but it feels a little athematic because the hobbits are competing against each other and racing against each other. So my thought is, Michael Reinick, who designed this one, has come back to the board, so to speak. And in this game, it's again a dice rolling game, but it's cooperative. And so maybe it's more thematic. And I imagine maybe like a further fleshed out version of this and not a roll and write. So in this game, it says you've got special dice mechanism where the colored dice are going to determine which characters move. And then the numbers are going to tell you how you move, but you choose the dice both before and after the roll. So you're going to choose which dice you roll and then after which ones you keep. And that's similar to the concept here in this Journey to Mordor game. Black dice always have to be rolled and trigger different threats, but you're working in this one cooperatively to ensure the continuous, ever-growing threat doesn't stop you from completing the quest. It says in most cooperative games, players must coordinate their moves and actions with each other to ensure the desired outcome. And that's exactly what you'll be doing, trying to do here to get the ring to Mount Doom. So that is my number one game. I feel like because we've had so much fun with this one, and it sounds like it's going to be, the designers, hey, I'm going to go back to this and make it better, make it cooperative. That really inspires me to feel like I'm probably going to really enjoy this game. Probably going to be on the lighter side, as is the other Lord of the Rings game, probably going to be on the lighter side. But if I can get them to the table, and a lot of people love Lord of the Rings, so if I can get the game to the table, I'm sure that I'm going to enjoy it due to the theme. So very excited about all of these games, and those are my top 10 most anticipated games of 2023, new upcoming releases. So there you have it. Those are my top 10 games that are going to be new releases in 2023 that I'm most anticipating. If you want to see some of the other games that are on the list that didn't make this top 10, 90 or so of them down below in the description. You can check out some other games that I'm excited about as well. Hopefully you enjoyed this video. If you did, I would love it if you give it a thumbs up. It'd be terrific if you'd also choose to subscribe to the channel. As always, thanks for watching. This is Bill Indiana, signing off.